Hey everybody, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 8 of the Sweetheart Season series, and we're going to be making a beautiful keepsake box and transfer this super cute bear onto it, and we're going to dot paint it. So I'm going to walk you through this process from start to finish. I'm super excited. This is going to be lots of fun. It's going to be completely beginner friendly, and if you don't have any dotting tools, I'm going to be using mostly my styluses, I think. But if you don't have tools like that, don't worry, because you can use toothpicks, you can use the top of paintbrushes, you can use an eraser from a pencil, a highlighter. I've used glue sticks. Like, there's a million things you can use. So don't worry, we're gonna have a great time together. So I'm gonna put this aside for now, and we're gonna start working on the actual keepsake box. So this is a box that I got at the dollar store at Dollarama, and basically what we're gonna do is stain this to a really beautiful middle toned color, which I got a Varnish stain from, I think it was from Home Depot. Oh, you're going to be a pain. Okay, this is on the bottom. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to deal with that right now. But feel free to take off any tags and stuff that you want. I'm intending to stain the outside and the inside of my keepsake box. And I'm also going to put a felt liner on the inside because I think that would be lovely. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take all of these metal pieces off. And I have myself a bunch of stuff here for this. Where's my pen? Where have I put you, my pen? Here's one. Okay, so here is tip number 1. If you're ever taking something apart like this, always get yourself a little Ziploc bag and put a little sticker in there so that you know exactly what this is for. You won't lose it. They're all together because these are tiny, these little screws. I don't know where you would get another one if you lost it. So I am warning you because this has happened to me before. Could you leave these in place? I'm sure you could. I don't recommend it. I think it's super important to get underneath and around it because I suck at that. I'm not good at getting around things like this. This is going to fall open now. So I don't know where I got this little screwdriver from. I think it's probably from like a glasses kit. So, you know, check your local dollar store. You'll probably find one of those little kits in like the car aisle where they have a lot of stuff at the dollar store now, man. It's really changed. It's very good. Okay. I have dropped these screws before. It is not a good time. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to be putting a super cute teddy bear holding a heart balloon on the top of this keepsake box. I'm so jazzed about it. I've made a mandala on a keepsake box before. I made one for Father's Day that I gave to my daddy-o. Oh, see? That was a couple years ago. But it was like a freehand mandala, so I've never done a transfer onto a keepsake box before. So I'm really jazzed about this. I think it's going to be so cute. All righty. Last one. Okay. Bueno. Let me move you. And we're going to make sure we don't lose any of these guys. Everybody scoop. Never do I feel like I have big man hands more than when I'm dealing with these little tiny screws. I feel like the giant from the Green Giant. And my nails are green too. That doesn't help. Okay, I'm going to set this aside and we're going to use these after we're done taking care of this box. Okay, I am going to grab some parchment paper to protect my countertop. And today I'm using Varathane. This is en français. Varathane Ultimate Wood Stain One Coat Coverage. This is called Flagstone. And I'm going to repeat that they use the tiniest font possible for the color just to get me angry. I'm going to be using a sponge paintbrush, a pair of gloves because you know why, and a piece of an old t-shirt to rub the stain off. Now, totally do whatever you want. You don't want to stain it and you want to use it like this, by all means. However, if you choose not to stain it, I would still recommend that you put a layer of varnish across the top where we're going to be dotting, because wood is thirsty and it will steal the paint and suck it into the wood grain and make your dots wonky dots. It's not to say that I don't have wonky dots on most of my stuff, but it's only wonky because I did that, not because the wood did it. I highly recommend you stir your stain for an extended moment. It's worth it. It separates every time. So I've used this now. I use this on a heart sign that I used for a wreath last week. And I really like this color. It's a really light, neutral, almost blondie gray color, even though it's brown. I don't know, whatever. You can decide what color you think it is. Okay, so I'm going to do the things that I recommend, and we're not going to be able to stain this full box in one sitting from my perspective. You could totally do that if you wanted to, but I don't recommend doing anything that can stick to itself. So I'm going to do the outside and I'm going to leave the inside for now, and then I will come back and stain it later when the outside has dried a little bit. That's totally a preference of mine. There's no real reason for it. It's totally up to you. You do you. But I think I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to start with the sides of this. So I'm going to use a t-shirt to wipe a big portion of this stain off. I'm using a t-shirt because it helps to minimize the amount of like little fluffs and squiggles and random bits of debris that can get trapped in the stain or paint or whatever. But in this case, it's stain. You can stain the bottom as well if you like. As you like. It's up to you. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, I really like this stain. It's really nice. So I have used like paper towel to take the stain off in the past, and it almost always disintegrates and causes problems, and it's not a good time. So I don't recommend using a paper towel. Definitely try to find an old t-shirts work really well. I guess you could probably use one of those lint-free rags as well. That could work. Look how cool that color is. It really shows you all the grain. And it's funny because when you see this box, it doesn't seem like it has grain because it's so pale. It kind of almost looks like an MDF slab. And it probably is MDF. I don't know. But it looks like actual proper wood now when it's stained. You get like, you know. I actually also really like using walnut stain. I would recommend that for this project as well. I just didn't want to do that because I've been using walnut a lot. So I decided to get fancy and get myself a new stain. And I'm really pleased with it. It's a really cool color. But it also means that I'm going to be making my teddy bear design a little darker than I had initially intended. I was going to kind of do like a lighter color, but it'll get lost against this stain. So we're going to actually do like a darker teddy bear brown, like almost like a chocolate color. Look how cool that looks. All right. I'm pleased with that. I'm not going to be doing the inside right now. Like I said, I'm going to do the outside of this and then I'll put them together and move them aside. I have one ready to go for us to dot paint on today, but I like to go through the full process of getting everything ready together with you from start to finish. But I wouldn't recommend going from staining your wood to dotting right away. You want to let your stain dry. At least 24, possibly even 48 hours. And if you feel compelled to do another layer of stain, you could. I really don't need it on this one. This is really, truly a one coat. It won't need another coat. It's really nice on its own. But I would highly recommend doing a coat of varnish, especially where we're going to be dot painting. You could do it all over the entire keepsake box if you like. I probably am going to do that, but I didn't do it in preparation for dot painting. For preparation for dot painting, I actually just did the top because that's what I'm going to dot paint on. And then once my dot painting is done and I've erased my guidelines and stuff, I'm going to let it dry really, really well. And then I will varnish the entire keepsake box everywhere. Probably a couple of times, a couple of layers of varnish. This is the varnish I use. This is my Liquitex matte varnish. You can use any varnish you want. This is just my go-to. Get them at Michael's, but you can pick it up on Amazon as well. And I've had that forever. You really don't use a ton. What a pretty color. Just wait till I wipe it away. It's going to look so cool. Hi, Anna. Hi, Tony. Thanks for joining me tonight. We're going to make something super cute. So this is a great gift idea if you're interested in making something for somebody. I think this cost $4.75 for this box, but you could get smaller ones for a smaller amount of cash at Dollarama. And we're going to use a limited amount of paint as well. You don't need to varnish if you don't want to. So really, this project is going to cost, I want to say, less than $5. Well, it can't. The box is $4.75. And this is Canada, so we pay tax for everything. Okay. Don't let me start talking about things that make me bitter. Let's move on. Under $10, you can make a really cute, personalized gift for somebody. So keep that in mind. All right. I am very pleased with that. So like I said, I would definitely let it dry for at least 24 hours. And then I would do the inside and give it a good coat as well. Then let all of it dry for minimum 24 hours. But I'd say longer if you have the ability to let it sit. Absolutely let it sit. And then give yourself at least one coat of varnish. You could do two as well. As long as they're thin, you're fine. So I'm going to move these guys out of here. And through the magic of Mary did this already in the past. Here is my complet keepsake box, stained inside and out. I even did the bottom. Now, I am actually going to put all of my Keepsake stuff back together because I'm telling you, I always do this. So we're going to put these screws back in place and make this a functional box, but not until I do the base because it'll be easier with it open. So I'd like to put something on the inside of this. I recommend if you're going to gift this to somebody, it might be cute to maybe write something inside before you put your felt. It's up to you, but that's a cute idea. We need to decide if it's going to be pink or if it's going to be white on the inside. I am undecided. So based on what we're going to be putting on the front, I'm kind of leaning towards the pink. And I love pink, so it's pink. All right, there, that was easy. That was easy to figure out. Let me grab, I thought I had an open pink one. Do I not? Oh, here it is. Why you hide from me? Okay, I'm never good at cutting things straight when they need to look really pretty. So I think what I'm going to do is tuck it into place and then cut it using an X-Acto knife. I don't know if that's going to work well, but I'm going to try. Okay, that's good. It feels like it's just constantly moving on me. Oh, that's better. Duh. I wonder if I could have just started to glue it like this and then cut it. But then what if I cut it wonky and I don't want to keep that piece? Yeah, let's just do it like this. Okay. I think I got it. I've got it kind of flush against. Okay, where's my good knife? I have an X-Acto knife. Be careful. This is sharp AF. The F-skis. Watch your fingers. You need to stay. You need to stay right there. Maybe I should put a little piece of glue. But then what if I don't like the way I cut it? Remember? That was the whole thing. Okay. Cross your fingers. I don't even think this is cutting. It's not. Okay. Try again. Yeah, it's not cutting. But if it scores it, then I can always cut it. With scissors. I feel like I struggled with this last time too. I'm not good at this. Oh well. We'll make it work. I guess I could have tried to measure it against the bottom and draw it with a pen. That probably would have been smarter. So maybe try that. Let's see. Do I have enough to know? I think so. Let's see. I really need a better pair of scissors. I've only said that a million times and not bought myself a new pair of scissors. Okay, let's see how we did. Not bad. I can live with that. So that corner's a little drunk, but otherwise, not too bad. This one was a little, Okay, I will live with that. I'm happy with it. So I'm going to actually leave it a little wonky, and then I'll try to clean it up with this later. I might just replace my blade. So I'm going to be using my Gorilla Glue. You could use hot glue if you like, but I didn't feel like getting my hot glue gun involved tonight. I gave him the night off. So I'm just going to put a little corner of glue on each side. Okay. I'm not going to do much tapping because I feel like I already got some glue on my finger by accident. But it's okay. We're going to pretend it's not toxic. Kind of just doing like a corner, like a little, what is that, a V, an L? I don't know why, just because it seems like a good idea. How are we doing? Because once this starts to set, there's no going back. Okay, I'm pleased with this. That worked out really well. Mi piace. Me gusta. Okay, so later when this is really well dry, I'm going to go trim off a little bit on the inside. But even if I don't, meh, who cares? It still looks cute. It still looks so cute. Okay, I'm going to stop messing with it. All right, next we're going to screw the hardware back on. And then we're going to start transferring over our image. Now, you don't need to do this part now. You could do this part after. But I want it ready to, I don't want to have to fool around with it after. I want to have it ready to go. So, you know, it would have been really smart if I'd paid attention to how this is supposed to go. I think this goes on the top. Yeah. So, this is going to be fun. And by fun, I mean frustrating. I don't know, actually, if I'm going to do this in front of people. This might end badly for everybody involved. So perhaps I'm going to skip this part. We'll see. Let's try. Let's try before we give in. I can't tell. Am I in the hole? No. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna skip this. I don't have this kind of patience during a live. My apologies. Put them back on. Okay. So because I don't have the patience to do this now, that means this is gonna have to wait until I have fully varnished my completed image, because I highly recommend you don't monkey around with your completed project until it is nicely dry. Okay, let's get started. And because these are not connected, I'm going to put you aside because you're going to bug me if not. I'm going to start by, we're going to transfer this image onto the wood. And we're going to do that by using a chalk pencil. And a transfer method that I've used since I was a young lady, a wee young fry. I'm not good at freehand drawing, so I like to trace onto things. And the way I know how to do that is by putting a big layer of chalk on the back and then pressing on top of it. to transfer that image using the chalk onto your item, whatever that item may be. It is highly effective. Sometimes chalk doesn't work and you have to switch to like a lead pencil. That's also really effective. But I don't think I'd be able to see a lead pencil on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is color it on the back, and then I'm going to cut around it so that we can get a good sense of where we want to place it. So let's keep an eye so that I don't overcolor and waste my own time. So this is another reason why it's good to varnish, because it'll make it a little bit easier to remove the chalk lines. When I did the heart, mandala heart for my wreath, I think it was the last Monday I did that. I actually struggled quite a lot to erase my chalk lines. And I ended up using a really stiff eraser, and that was very effective. But it was frustrating, and it can be very frustrating to erase guidelines. So really take your time. I think I've covered it completely. It's kind of narrow. Let me just go a little further over here because maybe that balloon might be. Okay, I think we got it. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, you can see I printed this out at 75%. Oh, I forgot to mention that. This image, this transfer outline is available to you in the description of this video. It's a free downloadable. So feel free to download it so that you can dot along with me. And I printed this out at 75%. I feel like that's the best size for this keepsake box. So I'm going to go ahead and cut around. All right. Beautiful. Oh man, he's so cute. Every time I see his little face, he's so sweet. Okay, so one of the reasons why I wanted to screw the front on is so that we can make sure that we're right at the center, because to me, that's the only thing that really matters. I don't really care if anything is generally centered, but because there is an item that's going to be right there, you really want to be aware of it, okay? So I want his feet to be where that clasp is going to be. And so I think this is going to be good. Are you straight? Oh, God, you're so cute. Okay. I think I have it level. What do you guys think? Good spot? Tell me this is not going to look super cute. I'm so excited. Okay. I'm going to be using my dotting tool, not this one. I'll use my 1mm dotting tool to help me outline my drawing. You don't need to use a dotting tool. You can use a pen or a pencil, which is probably more intelligent because you'll be able to see where you've already pressed down. But all we're doing is literally tracing every single part of this. But I'm going to give you my number one rule when it comes to this transfer method. Make sure you're happy where you've placed it, and then put your hand down. I'm right-handed, so my left hand will hold it down. And now we're not moving this again, because if you move it again, it's going to be very complicated to try to get it back into the same spot. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to trace around. I'm using, I don't know, medium pressure, probably much more than medium. I'm a bit extra. You don't really need to be just enough so that you can get that transfer of chalk. It's going to be an outline. It's not going to be perfect. Things that are super duper round might come out a little not so round. Really sharp corners might come out a little fuzzy. This is okay. We're using this as an outline, as a guideline. But in the end, you know, we can adjust things, or I don't personally have an issue with having things that are quote unquote imperfect. I enjoy the charm of that. So You do you. But don't be surprised if when you take yours out, you see, oh, it's not as sharp and detailed as I thought it would be. That's okay. It's nothing to worry about. I think I already did the ear. So eyeball. Now these little eyeballs are going to be hard to see. They can get lost in the dots that we're going to create. So we'll see if we might make the eyes a little bit bigger. We'll see. I really did that crooked. I'm for sure not making that smooth. Okay, I have not done the string yet. Look how cute this little heart at the bottom here. So smart. I feel like I'm holding my breath. I'm like stressed out. This is actually a really simple technique. I use it all the time. I have many videos where I do various designs using this method. It's just so simple and effective. Okay, let's have a look. Again, I'm not going to let go. I'm just going to flick the paper up and see how we did. Ears are both done. Eyes. The mouth could use a little more. I'm very happy with that. Such a simple design. This heart needed a little more. And I think this was a little light. See again. This. You always want to make sure before you take your hand away. I can't stress that enough. I've done it where I've moved my hand and moved the paper and then realized I missed something important. And I was a very unhappy Italian lady. Okay, I'm pleased with this. Okay. I'm going to keep this nearby so that I always have a sense of, you know, what it's going to look like. I highly recommend always starting with the outline because it makes it so much easier to fill things in. So we're going to start with brown. I'm going to be doing the body of the teddy bear first using burnt umber. This is a really, really dark brown. I kind of want to mix it with this cashmere tan. Let's see how that turns out. We're going to make some funky color over here because I don't want it to be too dark. Originally, I was going to do this color, but it's too close to my stain, right? So I think what we're going to do is I'll start with, oh, ew, you're gross. I hate when paint is stuck to the top of the thing because I'm a princess. Well, about that, I'm a princess. Okay, I'm filling this with quite a lot, and we're going to put a little bit of this on top. You're gross too. Because it's dark, it's going to impact the color a lot more than you'd think. I refer to these as shish kebab skewers. I get them at the dollar store, pointy on one end, round and flat on the other. These are excellent for dot painting. So if you don't have dotting tools, I highly recommend. This is a great thing you can find probably somewhere in your home to use to dot paint, and you've got two great tools out of it. Let's see. You need more dark brown. Also, if you're ever mixing your own colors like we are right now, I highly recommend that you be much more patient than I am and stir at a much slower rate. Because when you stir quickly, you are introducing air bubbles to your paint and they never really go away. You're going to end up having to pop them when you're dotting. I know this and I still don't care. Because I don't have the patience to stir slow, okay? So I live with the bubbles. That's a me decision. You do what you think is best, but you've been warned. What do I think? I think I still want this darker brown. I am surprised by how much brown I need to add. These paints that I'm using today, I've purchased from Dollar Tree and Dollarama. Everything that we're using today is from Dollar Tree and Dollarama, except for my chalk pencil and dotting tools. But otherwise, everything's from the dollar store. I try to get most of my stuff from the dollar store. They've got some great stuff these days, and it's highly cost effective. I'm liking this color, but guess what? More brown. I feel like I just didn't want this really, really dark brown. I wanted it to lean into almost like a goldeny brown, and I feel like we're getting there now. I love these little paint pods. I get them at Dollarama. I think they're like 4 in a pack. They're so useful. And they are airtight, so you can keep this paint and use it for other projects. I'm happy with that brown. So we're going to keep that. That looks good. Actually, let me stir it a little bit more because, you know, I don't want streaks if I can avoid it. When you don't mix your colors together well, you're asking for a little bit of a funky streak to happen. See? I don't know how that even got there. All right. That's enough. There's only so much patience a girl can have, okay? Yeah, I like that color. So I'm going to start by outlining his entire body. I'm going to debate about this for a second, actually, because I feel like I want that to be the inside of his color. I think I'm actually going to do this dark brown as the outline. Yeah, I like that idea. So I'm going to use this burnt umber Deco Art Crafters acrylic paint. I use all Deco Art Crafters acrylic paint for the most part, as I said earlier. If you are new to dot painting, we're going to take it easy today, and I'm going to show you all of my little tips. So far, I hope you've been paying attention. Here's another big tip. Always have a damp cloth available to you off to the side. It is excellent to clean off your dotting tools with and to keep an eye on your hands because you don't want to get paint on your hands and accidentally transfer it onto your design. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to be using a fairly small dotting tool for this, which is my 1 millimeter dotting tool. The dots will get a little bit bigger as the paint accumulates on my dotting tool, so it's going to be a little bit bigger than a 1. But if you don't have a dotting tool like this, I highly recommend a toothpick for something like this. Super useful. Or you could use a Q-tip. You could take the cotton off the ends and use the stick. Or you could keep the cotton on and use it as a bigger dot. I wouldn't recommend that for an outline, though, because it'll get really muddy. All right, let's get started. I don't need you yet. We'll save you for later. We're going to start with this. Okay, always try to keep track of where your hand is going to be. And I also always try to start a design in an inconspicuous place, a place where your eyes aren't going to naturally go. So my brain originally said start right here, but that's not a good idea because your eye will go straight there. So I'm going to start on the side right here. Because now if my dots get a little bigger or the shape is a little weird until I get into a groove, it's not a big deal. If you're new to dot painting, let me be super clear. I am dotting at a very fast pace. If you are learning, you should be dotting way slower than this. Take a breath between each of your dots. Center yourself. Get comfortable. Dotting is not about rushing. But since we're doing a live, and also I am an experienced dot painter, I can go pretty fast. I don't consider myself anything more than an experienced amateur, but I am at least capable to go a little bit faster these days. So don't feel bad if you're going super slow. That is the way we all begin. You'll also notice that I'm leaving a considerable amount of space between my dots. This is a great kind of project to practice this skill. It was by far one of the hardest things for me to learn how to do in relation to dot painting, is keeping that space between my dots instead of having them accidentally blob into each other. It's a lot more challenging than you think. So doing projects like this where you're following an outline and it gives you a little bit of I don't know, like it's a monotonous repetition. It gives you the chance to really practice. You know what I mean? And instead of practicing on a practice paper, you're going to have a super cute little bear on a keepsake box instead. I mean, I'll take that all day instead of a practice paper, personally. Okay, so some of my dots are coming out a bit wonky. Again, I chalk that up to the wood. Even with the varnish, I only did one layer of varnish. I kind of regret that now. I think next time I would definitely do 2. But it's not a big deal. If I see a dot I'm not loving the shape of, I just go back over it. And you'll notice that I'm going back and forth to my paint every single time. That's how we get close to that uniform size, because we're always replenishing the paint on the dotting tool rather than letting it deplete and make your dots smaller. So the inside of the ear, I think I'm going to actually make it this brown, this dark brown. Oh, I actually have enough room to make that last dot. That's great. If you ever get down to the end and you find yourself like, oh no, I can't make it, it won't fit, you're going to end up making a blob, just leave it. Don't fill it in. Let them all dry, and then you can come back and pop a little dot in there and it'll be totally fine. Okay, you've got a head now. So let's move on to the ears. Something you're going to notice is when you've finished your project and you've waited like a very patient young lady or young man or young whatever you are for at least 24 to 48 hours for everything to dry, then you're going to erase your guidelines with the most amazing amount of patience ever. And after that, you're going to notice something that I notice every single time, which is the guidelines were hiding some gaps that I didn't know were there. And now once I've erased them, they're very noticeable. So keep your paints nearby and your dotting tools nearby. You might have to fill in a little spot afterwards, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's hard to see. Your brain makes the substitution for you, you know? All right. Let's do this one too. Now, you don't need to spin your projects around when you're dotting. If you're comfortable leaving it in one position and moving your hand around, by all means, go for it. I'm not really good at that. I find it uncomfortable and awkward. It gives me more cramps in my hands. So I just move my projects around at my convenience. But you don't need to. This is going to be so cute. I'm uncomfortable putting a dot in that space, so I'm going to leave it alone, let it dry. And if I still feel like it's obvious to me, I'll go back and pop one in there after. Now, these ears, I'm going to make them this dark brown, but I'm not going to do it like, I'm not going to dot around as a trim. I think I'm just going to put a large dot in there when it's time to do that one. So I'm going to leave that alone. The muzzle is cream, but the nose is a heart and it's dark brown. So I think we'll fill that stuff in later. Let's continue with the outline of the body. Okay. Now, if you're uncomfortable using a small dotting tool like a 1 millimeter, you can easily use bigger dots. It's going to be a little bit harder to get the detail if you're using a bigger dot, but as you're learning, go for it. I love looking back on projects that I made when I was still learning how to dot paint. And my dots were going rogue and they were all different sizes. And it's beautiful to look back on and see how far I've come, you know? What color are you going to make your balloon? I'm definitely going to make mine pink. I always intended to make it pink. But that's because I'm a pink girl. Give me 25 million color options to choose between and I'll find a pink I like. I really struggle with that when I'm getting a manicure done because they have so many beautiful pinks. When I have to pick a pink, it's almost like I have an anxiety attack. That's normal, right? Right? So another thing that beginners tend to focus on or practice when learning dot painting is how do you keep your dots uniform or at least close to being the same size? And there are a few factors involved in that. Number one is how much paint you have on your dotting tool. Number two is how much of the surface of your whatever product it is, in this case, the Keepsake box, how much of the surface are you allowing your dotting tool to touch? Is it full pressure? Is it just a little bit of pressure? Is it like, because that makes a difference as well. Full pressure is going to give you a bigger, stronger dot. Thicker. Wow, these ones are really coming out a little wonky because of the wood. So that's a little frustrating, which is why I keep going back to get a little bit more paint. And I'll re-dot on top of something. Like this one came out weird. The other thing that affects your dotting tool is, as I mentioned, the amount of paint you have on your dotting tool, but that also means the buildup of paint on your dotting tool. So sporadically, you're going to see me clean my dotting tool because it starts to pile up and you can't help it. The dots just get larger because of that. I think we're going to do the little butt heart first. And then I'll go do the arms. I don't know if I want to put a dot there. I feel like that this might be asking for trouble. Let's be brave. Nice. Oh, I thought I touched the foot, but I didn't. That is something you need to be very conscious of. Where is your paint wet so that you don't accidentally touch it? I'm really good at doing that. I've found every way possible to screw up my own designs. In case you want a list, I can give it to you. And number one is resting my hand in wet paint. So try to always be aware of where you're resting your hand. If you're resting your hand, you might have the hand strength to hover your hand. I don't have that strength in my hand. So I need to be aware of where I'm putting my hand all the time. Okay, I'm going to turn this. Good example. I need to watch that I don't touch the feet. This is why I'm leading with my pinky, and then I rest my pinky and rest my hand, and we're safe. Okay, for the end of the arm here, I'm going to do something called walking the dots. And walking the dots means that you're going to take paint onto your dotting tool, and then you're going to dot, dot, dot without refilling the paint on your dotting tool. You're just going to let that paint naturally dwindle down, and it will just naturally taper into smaller and smaller dots. So you're literally walking the dots down to a smaller, smaller, smaller dot. It's a really great technique. I use it in practically every dot painting I do, whether it's an image like this or a mandala. Totally worth something to practice because you'll be using it a lot. So here we go. I have paint on my dotting tool, and I'm going to dot, 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 dot. See what I mean? Little baby dots. They're cute, right? Okay, now we got to do the other hand, which is right here. It's a little hand. See, this is a good example of something that can get lost in the images because of the dots. This little hand is going to be hard to decipher. I think I'm going to leave that. I'm scared to put a dot in between, so I'm going to leave that alone. All right, the bear has been outlined. Do I want to do anything else? Should we do the nose now? No, I think I'm going to let that dry. Let's move on to the outline of our balloon. And then we'll come back to do the muzzle, probably will be the next thing we'll do. Okay, I'm going to be using Tutti Frutti, which is a very vibrant pink. It's going to be Frenzies with the inside of our keepsake box. So I think what I'm going to do is outline the heart in this bright pink, but then inside I'm going to do a combination of this bright pink and like a lighter pink. So I'll mix in some white with it. So to give it a little bit of like contrast and depth and stuff. All right, I'm going to use the same size dotting tool, the 1 millimeter. Again, this would be good for maybe a toothpick or a shish kebab skewer. Also, I have these like skinny paintbrushes that have really small tips as well. So have a look through your paintbrushes. That's another good option if you don't have dotting tools. But if dot painting has started to pique your interest, I highly recommend picking up some dotting tools from Amazon. They are very reasonably priced, and you can get a good starter set. I'm pretty sure this is the only stylus set I've ever had. I think I bought this one time and that's it. So definitely a good investment. I'm concerned. I'm gonna go with the flow. We're gonna see how it goes. This is such a vibrant pink. It's so pretty. So what color are you gonna do your balloon? Are you gonna do a pink? I feel like you can't really see that, which is a bummer because it's so pretty. Can you see it? Well, don't worry. By the time we're done dotting this, you'll be able to see everything beautifully. Trust me. Trust the process. It's something I have to remind myself a lot when I'm crafting. We'll get there. Okay, I want to make sure that I get a good dot at the center of that heart. So you get a noticeable heart, you know? What do you think? Can you see it? I guess you really can't, can you? That's all right. You will soon enough. So I'm mostly following the guidelines. In some cases, the guidelines came out a little flat or a little wonky in a spot. And I'm accommodating for that by placing my dot slightly off of the guideline. So keep that in mind. It's never going to transfer perfectly, but good enough. Better than I could have done freehand, I'll tell you that. All right. I got to watch that I don't accidentally touch the ear. Those are very close. It's very tight. And I like the little, I don't know what you call that, the little piece of the balloon that sticks out, the part that you would blow into to inflate it. I don't want to put just a massive, I don't know. Should I just put a big dot? Because if I try to outline it, you're not going to be able to tell what it is. That's what I mean about sometimes you're not going to be able to get the detail you want because there are so many dots. You would think, oh, wow, that's a lot of detail with the dots. Yeah, but sometimes it muddies the composition instead of making it really clear what you're doing. So I think I might just put a big dot there instead. Okay, I think there's enough room for me to place it without being concerned. Well, this is a good example of what I was talking about, though. When you're doing an outline of something and you come close to the end and you've got a gap that you need to fill with a dot and you're not sure if you'll be able to do it without accidentally touching one of the other dots, then just leave it. This will dry and then you can come back and do it now. Like right now, if I needed to fix any dots in here, I could totally do it. It's all dry. Dry enough to erase my guidelines? No, but dry enough to be able to attempt to put a dot in that will avoid blobs? Yes. So we're definitely there. So I'm going to leave that alone for right now because I don't trust that I will not screw it up. Now, in terms of the string, you know what? I'm debating. I was going to do black, but I think I'm going to do white instead of a black string. I think I'm going to do a white string. I feel like that'll look really good. What are we going to do about that little... Am I going to do just a bigger dot? I guess I should do that. So let me do that first. Right? And you know what? I got to be able to see it better. I feel like this is going to be too big. No, that should be okay. Okay. I mean, I could turn it into what this is supposed to look like instead of leaving it as a circle. I could try to, but I don't think I want to. I think I want to leave it as a dot. We're going to leave it. You know what it is. Okay. I'm only going to need a tiny bit of white. For the string, I think I'm actually going to go down to an even smaller dotting tool. I'm going to go to the smallest one that I have, which is a 0.8 millimeter. It's super tiny. Just because I feel like, where am I going to start? We'll start in the middle right here. Yeah, white was the right idea. I'm nervous. I'm going to clean off my dotting tool and just put a tiny bit of paint on my dotting tool. That's good. That one's coming out wonky. That's good. I have room for one more dot in here. Good. Now, it should go through the hand. I feel like this is a good example of how it's going to get muddy and confusing. I don't think you'll be able to understand that that's going through the hand. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'll continue the bottom here, and then we can decide later if it would be noticeable or not. I'm going to start by making this heart because I want it to read as a heart and not as a blob, which I'm not sure I'll be able to do, but I'm going to try. Okay, so I walked the dots out of that. I'm going to try to make this look like a heart. I think that worked. That looks like a heart, doesn't it? I think so. I'm pleased with that. I think I will go from here. And we'll go up towards his hands. Okay, I don't trust any more dots there, so I'm going to stop. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary to put that white in the middle. You get the point. He's holding the balloon, right? Okay. Let's do the muzzle. Do I want to do the muzzle or do I want to do the heart first? The nose. Maybe we'll do the nose and then we'll do the muzzle last. I think that's probably a good idea. So the nose, I'm going to do this dark brown again. The same one that we used on the outline that we're going to do in the ears. And I'm going to do this like I'm going to use my dotting tool as though it's a paintbrush. I'm not going to make this a dot. I'm going to make this a little brown heart. Oh, how cute are you? I'm going to make it just a little bigger. Beautiful. Now, the little mouth, I'll use the same. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3. 2. So cute. So cute. Okay, we're going to do the eyes as well. And they're very round, so I think I'm just going to do a regular dot. Probably the same size as that. So we'll do the 3 millimeter, which is the biggest dot I have in a stylus. And we're going to make the eyeballs. There's something wrong with this paint. Like there's a piece of skin in there or something. Clean this off. I'm going to add a little bit on top. Always keep an eye on your hands because it is very easy to cover them in paint and accidentally transfer that to your design. Okay. I take a little bit of brown. Oh my God, you're the cutest. You're the cutest. All right. Now we'll do the inside of the ears, which is also going to be just a round dot, except this one needs to be a little bit elongated. But I'm just going to use a big 3 millimeter again. And same on this side. I kind of think I do want to make this shape though. So I'm going to use this again as like a paintbrush. And we're going to fill it in to look the way we want it to look. Like that. And like that. I like that. Mi piace. Me gusta. Okay, good. All right, so we're almost done all the outlines. All we have left is the muzzle, which I'm going to do with this really light, it's called Warm Beige. This brand of paint, along with this one, this is the two that I have. These are from Dollar Tree. Acrylique. This one's called Warm Beige, and this is Cashmere Tan. I use them a lot, actually. I don't know if Deco Art at Dollarama has these colors. That might be why I have them from Dollar Tree, probably. It sounds like something I do. Okay. Now I'm kind of debating. Yeah, I think I am going to use this color because I was kind of debating, do I want to use this instead for the muzzle? I don't know. Maybe I should mix them together. Let's do that. Let's see what we like, if we like it. Solo un poquito. Let's see. Yeah, that's a nice color. It's just a little bit darker than the original warm beige. I think that's good, actually. I like that. Good call, Mary. All right, so I'm going to use my smallest dotting tool for this one because I definitely want the muzzle to be like as thin as possible. So we're going to, again, start on a not so obvious spot on the side. So this is going to be the last bit of outlining we need to do. And now we're going to start filling everything in, which is super fast, actually. It's the fastest part. Like this outlining is the most tedious part or time consuming. I enjoy it. So it's no skin off my nose. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to try to make sure I don't get too close to the little nose. Because my muzzle got a little wonky when I transferred it. It's not as a smooth curve as it should be. So I'm kind of offsetting that as I do it. Okay, there's a tiny spot there that I could technically put a dot. I'm not brave enough to do that. I'm going to leave it. If I decide it's too open later, I will pop that in. Like I'm going to do one here. I feel like that's too open. Let me do that right now. There we go. Beautiful. So easy to fix. Such a small thing. Okay. What are we going to do next? Are we going to start filling in the bear? Yeah, because I want to let the muzzle dry a little bit. So let's actually, you know what? Let me do the balloon. No, I'm going to do the bear. I want to do the bear. He's looking at me so patiently. Like, come on, it's my turn. Okay, lots of bubbles in there. Surprise. I'm going to give it another quick stir. My goodness, so many bubbles. Yeah, blowing on it's not going to help, Mary. That's okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, I'm going to start with my 3mm dot. Now, if you want to, you can go up to a much larger dotting tool for this. And if you're making this at home without dotting tools, the top of a pencil is a great size for a larger dot. Or look, here's the top of a pen. Oh, here's where my pen went. Anyway, the top of a pen, like a pen cap, that gives you a really large dot as well. So something to consider if you want some larger dots in here. But I actually don't want to put really big dots in here. I think, let me see, maybe at most I do a 3.5. Now these dotting tools I've picked up from Happy Dotting Company. It says it right on there. You can get it from their website. They're based out of the UK, and the lady who owns that company, her name is Angela, and she's lovely. So I highly recommend. But if you don't want to get shipment from the UK, you can totally, I think they're also available on Amazon. So what size am I going to pull? 3.5? I think 3.5 is good enough. So these are slightly bigger than the stylus anyway. So a 3.5 will do nicely, I think. So 3.5, you can see the size of that. This is my 3. They're almost identical to each other, actually. So maybe I'll use the 4. Let's use the 4. Because I'm going to be doing only a few of these larger dots, I'm only going to do a handful. And then we'll fill it in using the 3mm. Where do you put them? Wherever your spirit tells you to put it, okay? There's no rule. I try not to bundle too many of the same size together. Having them spread out gives it a little bit more texture. Lots of bubbles in here. I'm going to have to do some popping. Now, I'm unsure if I want to do any big ones on the face. I think so. Don't get freaked out. This stage is always a little bit like, oh no, but don't worry. We're going to fill it in. It's going to look beautiful. I'll do one more on the face over here. Maybe on the other cheek as well. Beautiful. I think that's it for this size tool. We appreciate your assistance. Toodaloo to you. I'm going to go to my 3mm next, but first I want to pop all of these bubbles. I have a very sharp tool, but toothpicks will work just as well. They're really good at popping bubbles. Trust me when I tell you, never skip popping your bubbles, because generally speaking, they will pop on their own, and they're going to end up doing it when it's not a good time. They'll do it when the paint isn't as wet as it is now. And because of that, the popped bubble will probably end up staying in your final dry dot. So you'll have a dot with a bubble popped in it. It's happened to me. It makes me bitter. And so I will remind you every time we dot paint together to take the time to pop the dots. It's worth it. I'm going to have a look at these again later and see if any others surfaced, because that does happen. Okay. Now we're going to use the 3mm. And what I'm going to be doing is a version of walking the dots. You recall when we were walking the dots, we did dot, 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 and it was getting smaller, 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 smaller as we got less and less paint on our dotting tool. We're going to do the same concept, but not in a line like we did here. But instead, I'm going to kind of do it like a triangle. Okay? And any which way, because what we want is to have a variety of sizes all the way through this entire teddy bear. So we'll start 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I am uncomfortable doing anything else on this size without causing a disaster. Bubble. I don't want a blob dot. It's really important to me that I don't cause a blob dot. And so because of that, I'm going to let those dry for a bit. We're going to move on to the body and do the same kind of thing. Kind of want to just have a nice variety of different sizes near each other. Because then what we're going to do, what I always love to do in the end, is I'm going to use my smallest dotting tool. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill in with a lot of little dots. And that's going to really make the colors pop more, because then they'll blend together and make the teddy bear look like a real teddy bear. Beautiful. Torn about what to do in the heart tail, because I don't want to put a big dot there. But on the other hand, I can only fit one large dot. I might as well. I think the 3 is going to be too big. Let's see. What other size can I put? I've got a 2 and I've got a 2.5. Let's do the 2. Okay. And then we'll fill that in with small dots. I'm only going to do small dots in the ears. Okay. I would say we're going to pause on the brown for now. We're going to let that dry a tiny bit. And I'm going to move on to the balloon now while that happens. No more bubbles? Okay, good. So I'm going to mix myself a light pink. And we are going to still use this vibe. Oh, whoa. Wrong color. I want the dominant color to be white because it's going to be way harder to change the color if we start with pink. I'll end up using way more pink than I want. This way, I'm just darkening instead of trying to lighten it up. Shish kebab stick, come to me. If you're just joining me, welcome. We are in the midst of dot painting this super cute teddy bear holding a heart balloon onto a keepsake box. And I'm just mixing up a pretty pink. And just a reminder to stir much, much slower than this because stirring quickly introduces air bubbles. But I'm impatient, so I'm going to live with the air bubbles. And that's just the way it is. Okay, this is like super duper light. I don't want it to be that light in comparison to the Tutti Frutti. I want them to be kind of in the same family. So like, I still want it to be kind of bright pink, but not super bright pink. No, I think we need more. Now watch me have put too much. We'll see. Maybe I should have started with purple and added pink to it. What? That's not what I wanted to say at all. I was trying to say I should have started with pink and added white to it, but somehow purple got into the equation somehow. But okay, we're getting closer now. This is much closer to that pink, but still light enough to be different. I might do just a tiny bit more, and then we'll stop. Okay. Whatever this turns out to be, that's it. It's kind of like a light sherbet color. Is this sherbet colored? I need to stop talking about colors. I don't know what I'm doing tonight. I don't know my colors. This is pink. It's pink. All right, here we go. I want to make sure it's mixed really well. Again, I just don't want to have a streak of white. I don't care about the bubbles. I just want the color to be cohesive, mixed really well, you know? Okay, I think we're good. So I'm going to do a couple of large dots with this color and also some, what did I use? 4.5? Where'd you go? Come back. It was 4. So we'll start with which one? I think I'm going to start with the bright color, the bright pink. Okay, I'm using my 4.0 dotting tool to put a couple of big pink dots around. Okay, that'll do. We're going to do the same size tool, but with this light pink now. Much bigger. Okay, that's good. Lots of bubbles, Popski. Boop. Beep. Ski boop. All right, we got it. Guys, I'm so thirsty. I need a drink of water. Give me a second. Wowzers. She's a thirsty girl. All right. I'm going to do a couple of these 3mm bigger dots in the heart, and then we're going to pause and go back to the bear's body. We'll start with the light color first. I think I'm going to have the hot pink, like that Tutti Frutti pink, be the dominant color. So I'm pretty much going to stop adding this light pink in at this point, like right now. My next dot's going to be the last one. And then we're going to focus on that hot pink. Well, it's not really hot pink, but in comparison to this light pink, it is. I'm going to let that dry for a bit. Let's move on. We'll move back to the body of the bear. Let me give you another stir. So now what we're going to do for the bear is I'm going to go in and do some really small dots. I would recommend using a toothpick if you don't have dotting tools. And if you do have the same set I do, I'm going to be using the smallest one that I have to fill in the real estate here. Okay, so we're going to do that tonight now. Are you clean? All right. Same thing here. I'm doing multiple dots to fill in the spots. When I get nervous that I might accidentally touch something I shouldn't, we move on, we let them dry, and come back later and fill it in. If you learn nothing else tonight, I hope you learned that lesson, that you don't need to rush yourself. You can always come back and do it later, and nobody would know the difference. Now, at this point, if we wanted to make a little bit more contrast and color, we could do some of these small dots with that really dark brown that we used for the outline. That's totally acceptable. In fact, there's a lot of shading on this little guy that you could totally try to leverage by using that darker color brown dotting. I don't really feel the need to mix them. I kind of want it to stay this color. So that's what I'm going to do, just because it's my preference, but you do your preference. Hello. Thank you for joining. I hope you're enjoying. This is my idea of a good time. I'm actually really excited for this project because I'm looking forward to using this. I know exactly what I'm going to keep in it too. You know when you like know what you want something for? I'm so jazzed about it. I'm like, this is going to look so cute. Okay. Can you see how it's filled in so much more and it looks more like a solid brown color because the dots are filling in now? I don't know if you can see all that detail with the camera and the lights and stuff. But this is one of the things that I really love about this method is that you can just keep adding dots and layers and depth and texture as you like, you know. I am gonna add a few more in here, but for the most part, I'd say we're pretty much done the body of the bear. This is for sure going to be one of those ones that when I erase the guidelines, I'm going to notice areas that need more dots. So again, I recommend once you're done and you've let your design dry for at least 24 hours before you start trying to erase your guidelines. Make sure you have your dotting tools and your paint nearby because you're going to probably find some gaps that you're going to want to fill in. I know I always do. Okay, I feel like I've gotten as far as I can on the body without risking some blob dots, which we definitely don't want. Well, I mean, I don't really care. Sometimes I make blob dots and I leave them. It's just about where they're located, how noticeable they are, you know? Okay. I'm happy with the body. I think we're going to move on to completing the face. I left a lot more gaps on the face, so I'm going to start with a bit of a larger dotting tool there. I'm going to go with my 1 millimeter. Just looking at these dots to make sure there's no bubbles before they dry too much. But I think we're good. Okay, so I'm going to do my 1 millimeter for the face. Only because I just want a tiny bit of a bigger dot than what we've been using. Because there's a bit more gaps here that we can fill in. There's not going to be a lot of opportunity under here. I'm going to have to walk the dots to get into those little nooks and crannies. Okay. Oh, that was close. I had a little bit of a spaz and I placed it not where I intended. But it worked out. It's okay. Okay, I think that's as far as we can go with this big one. I'm going to move down to the 0.4 millimeter, which again would be like a toothpick. And I'm going to fill in just a bit more of what I can. We're going to have to fill in the muzzle as well. Okay, we're doing really well here. There's not a lot left. I think that's it for the face. There's one little dot I want to put. Boop. Okay, let's do the ears. I'm thinking it's going to have to be, I don't know if I can fill in more than a few on the ear. We'll see. Yeah, you're not going to get a lot in there, but that'll do. Good. What else? Is there anything else we want to add some dots to in the brown? I feel like we've got this teddy bear under control. No, I think we're good. I'm going to leave his body the way it is. And once I remove my guidelines tomorrow, I'll see if there's anything else I want to add in. But I think we're good for brown. Let's do the muzzle next. This one's going to be a bit of a challenge because I don't want it to get lost. I don't want the mouth to get lost. I almost feel like maybe I should leave. Should I leave it as just an outline? No, I've never done that before. I don't want to start now. I'd like to try to, oh no, this was a mixed color that we did, right? Let's see if it's too dry. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. What size dots shall we put here? Because I don't want it to be too, I don't want them to compete. But I think the contrast in the color is big enough that it shouldn't compete with each other. I'm going to use the top of my dotting tool. So you'll remember that the bottom is a 1 millimeter on this blue one. On the top of all of these is a slightly smaller ball. I would consider this a 1.25, but I don't actually know if that's true. But they all have the same size on my dotting tools. So okay, no more big than that. Now we go back to the small one. Again, the 0.8 teeny tiny. The teeny tiniest dots. All right. I'd say we're done. I don't want to do any more until I take my guidelines out. I think that'll be easier to tell if I need any more in there. So as far as I'm concerned, teddy bear is done. We're just going to fill in a little bit of the balloon. Thank you so much. I think it's very cute as well, Guadalupe. And you have a lovely name. I love that name. Okay, so we're going to fill in the balloon a little bit as well. You don't need to if you don't want to. It looks cute the way it is, but I actually am going to fill it in, and I'm going to fill it in more with this Tutti Frutti like hot pink color. As I mentioned earlier, I don't want any more of that light pink, I don't think. So let's do a 2.0 dot. So it's a little bit bigger. And we're just going to put a dot wherever we can fit a dot, basically. I almost double dotted and I was going to make a blob for sure. Do a big one right here. Okay. How about some more little ones? I'm going to go down to that really small tool now, to the 0.8 millimeter tool. And I'm going to fill in quite a lot with this hot pink, the Tutti Frutti pink. And then we'll decide later if I feel like I want to add more of that really light pink in, but I don't think so. I think I wanted a little bit of contrast, you know, and I think we got that from what we've already done. I remember when I first got these dotting tools and I used this 0.8 millimeter one, and I saw what a tiny, tiny dot it can make. And I was literally blown away. I was just like, wow. And I remember the first few times I showed people some of my dot art, and they would see those little teeny tiny dots and they'd be like, how do you make those dots so small? And I'm like, I have a magical talent. It's called a dotting tool. I'm like, it really is impressive when you see how teeny tiny some of these dots are. And that's this little dotting tool, like a toothpick. So we're about an hour and 45 minutes in, and we are almost done. Once I'm done filling in this balloon, I'm going to do a quick look through every part and see if there's anything I want to add some dots to. And then we're going to let this guy dry really, really well. So if you're just joining me, this is a keepsake box or a jewelry box or whatever you want it to be. It's a wood box that has a clasp on it. And I didn't have the patience to add all the clasps again, but absolutely, once this has dried really well, I'm going to erase the guidelines, fill in any dots I feel need to be filled in, let the paint dry again for at least 24 hours, and then I'm going to add probably 2 coats of varnish over top of what we've dot painted. And in fact, you can do it over the entirety of your keepsake box. It's not going to hurt anything. It won't give you streaks or anything. It will protect your varnish and the stain as well. All right, we are getting there, man. And then put it all back together and you've got yourself a beautiful little keepsake. And if you want to gift it to somebody, you totally could. Wouldn't you love to get a gift like this? I think it'd be so sweet. Okay, I think I'm done putting pink dots in. I think we've gotten all of the dots we can. And then I immediately put another dot. All right, I'm going to say my balloon is done. Yes, I'm going to say the balloon is done. I think the bear is done. Let's have a good look at the bear again and see if there's any place I want to add a couple now that they're dry, because these dots are now very well dry. Not enough to erase the guidelines, though. I'm going to repeat that many times because I've actually screwed up a few of my projects by erasing my guidelines too soon. And I really ruined a lot of dots, and it's really upsetting when it happens. So again, reminder, just because the dots look dry, it doesn't mean they're fully dry. You got to give it a solid 24 hours before you come at this with an eraser. You've been warned. If you want to screw up your design, that's your problem. I've done it many a time, so I'm not judging. But I am warning, so okay, I think we have achieved a really great result. I'm really pleased with this. And I'm probably going to add a few more dots, like I said, once we erase the guidelines. But otherwise, I think this little guy is pretty much done. Let's put these things away, and we're going to see it all in one shot. Let's move you guys. Everybody scram. Ski-daddle. All right. So we've got the base of our keepsake box that now has this beautiful piece of pink felt. And the lid, how cute is this? With a little hinge, it's going to go, ooh, ooh. I love it. I am so thrilled with how this came out. I love the stain. It's a really pretty color. Our little bear came out super cute. We used a really simple transfer method to get this on here. And now we have a beautiful end result. I consider this a complete win. I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. I feel like this is a really achievable, beginner-friendly type of project. So I hope you give it a shot. I'd love to hear how your project turned out in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more about dot painting, I have tons of beginner-friendly step-by-step tutorials similar to this one in this live format, but I also have a number that are much shorter. They're like 10 to 15 minutes long. They have lots of voiceover talking from me too, so don't worry, you won't be bored because Mary knows how to do the yapping. But I'd love to hear if you're interested in learning some more about dot painting, and please join me again next week. I'm going to be dot painting every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, making beautiful designs like this one. And I hope you join me again. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo.